Hello, I am back. It's been a little bit of a break. If you've never listened to this podcast before, podcast that is frankly becoming more of a YouTube series, we'll see how this develops over the summer. I was gone in Ireland for 10 days, and now I'm back making another episode. I don't know how interesting that will be for you. I'm sure there's people that will click into this because they want to hear about Ireland, so hello. And if you don't want to hear about Ireland, I'm sorry, but that is what this episode is about. But yeah, I usually start off these episodes with just a little recap of how my life is going. This whole episode is a recap, actually, so maybe we should just get into it. This was something that my family had planned for a couple months. Well, they had it planned for a really long time. So they were going to, celebrate life events. And then I sort of invited myself 3 months ago. Just texted them and was like, hey, I would really like to go to Europe. I enjoy it over there. Please let me come. And they were like, yes, feel free to do that, which was very nice of them. So I bought my plane ticket. I contributed expenses for my stays and stuff, and then here we are a couple months later. I'm back from my trip. I've been to Ireland now. A me thing. I think travel is really crazy. Not in it's so difficult to travel. I don't think it's actually that difficult to travel. You can find stays that are cheaper, and flying sort of feels like magic to me. I don't understand how it works. I just get on the plane and I go, and a couple hours later I'm somewhere else, and that to me is not that it's not that stressful. I know that's not how everybody feels, but for me it's not that stressful. Travel's crazy for me in the way where it's just hard for me to fathom that I'm somewhere else. It's literally hard for me to come to grips with the fact that I'm in a different country until 5 days in, at least. I felt like Ireland, that was extra difficult for me because the culture didn't feel that different for me. I'm saying for me a lot. Just know that if you're listening to my podcast, this is about me and it's my opinion, so have fun with that. There's just a lot of other Americans in Ireland, especially the areas that we were in, because a lot of them are touristy spots, and I felt like the Irish were kind of culturally similar to Americans. So for me, it didn't feel that different from home, and I was kind of able to sometimes mentally lapse into what if I'm actually at home right now? What if I pulled out cash? Would they let me pay with American dollar? They wouldn't. But that's how it felt sometimes. And it's been a long time since I've traveled. I haven't been to Europe since before COVID. I've been twice before that. I went in 2018 and 2019, both times to France, and then also to the UK, England specifically, in 2018 as well. So I've only been to those three very allied powers coded countries. And I would like to visit more, but those are the ones I've been to. Anyway, I was originally supposed to fly to Toronto, so layover in Toronto, and then fly to Dublin, but that flight got rescheduled a month after I booked it, so that I would fly out in the middle of the night the day before I had originally booked, which would have been really inconvenient because I had already planned a camping trip for the week before, and we were going to get back on Friday, and it was so I'm going to get home and I'm going to fly. It didn't sound fun. And then the layover would have been 12 hours long once I got to Toronto, which I can convince myself that I would be fine with. Here's the thing. What's in Toronto? Drake, Scott Pilgrim. I don't know what the fuck's in Toronto. So I'm sure it's a great city. I've heard really good things. The Weeknd has a lot of really good things to say about it. I just personally didn't know what I was going to do. So I rescheduled to fly to Reykjavik in Iceland on Iceland Air. Got a full refund on my Canada Airlines. I don't fucking know. Canada's national airline. So I was mildly disappointed at the time because, and I just mentioned Drake, I wanted to make Drake jokes on Instagram when I got to Toronto because this was what I had mentally planned, and this is because I have problems. There's that one tweet that's if I got Drake alone with a blunt, I could convince him that he's transgender. I was gonna make that joke that I'm in Toronto to help Drake realize some very important things about himself, and now I can't make that joke because I'm not in Toronto, right? Anyway, but then, you know, you're opening the door for like bjork jokes, and yes, you pronounce it bjork. I want to make that very clear. It's bjork. It has umlauts. It's bjork. I didn't end up making any bjork jokes because I respect her too much. Flying over Canada, because I still had to fly over Canada to get to Iceland, because that's how geography works. That was crazy also. I didn't realize that Canada looked like that. Keeping it a buck, I did not realize that Canada looked like that. It's very snowy. There's a lot of ice. And you fly over water, you know, when you're headed to Greenland. Also flew over Greenland. It's like, the ocean isn't even really the ocean. Like, it's ice. I couldn't really fathom that until I saw it. But it's one of the coolest things I've ever seen from an airplane. So I would recommend flying Icelandair at least once in your life for that reason alone. I was not that impressed with the airline as an airline, but like, we'll get to that. One nice thing about flying to Iceland is that it's beautiful. So that was cool. That was great. I have a new appreciation for ice, just as a concept, as like a visual, something I can look at with my eyes and be like, that is amazing. That's something that the Earth makes by herself. But yeah, Icelandair kind of sucks dick. They don't have any real plugins. So, and I'm someone who has a newer iPhone and a newer Mac laptop for work. The one you can see in the corner here, if you're watching on YouTube, is an old MacBook that uses the old chargers. So I'm not talking about that, but generally I fly with the other chargers. I'm bringing a different laptop, I'm bringing my phone, and those are not USBs. They are like the lightning port ones. I don't actually know what I'm talking about, but I know what a USB is, and I don't have a USB for either of those devices. I was kind of shit out of luck for charging any of my shit when I was on the plane, because the only option was using a USB to charge, which is insane to me. So my headphones were dead. I forgot to charge them the night before. Like, I had plugged them in, but then like my boyfriend wanted to use them, and I was like, sure, go ahead. And I just like forgot. So, but they might have been dead. They might have died. We'll get to that. That's a whole thing. Anyway, so the Wi-Fi also wasn't working on my fucking first flight that's like 7 hours long to Reykjavik. So I had to there's like that fun new trend of rawdogging your flight, according to GQ. If you haven't read that article, it's stupid. I don't even know why. We have to put words to things, I guess. I don't know. But a lot of guys are like, I like to stare at the back of the person's seat in front of me the whole flight. I'm raw-dogging my flight. I'm detoxing from stimulation. Sure. I guess that's what I did unintentionally. It was like that Seinfeld episode where Elaine is dating the guy who has that voice, and the character has a name that I'm blanking on right now, but he stares at the back of the seat the entire time, and she's like, aren't you gonna read a book? Are you gonna do anything? You read a magazine? And he's like, no, I just like to sit here. That was me, except I don't like to do that, and it made me want to cry. So I bought headphones, like little, plug them in headphones for like $5. Okay, another insane thing about Icelandair, you have to pay for everything. Like, you have to pay for food. Crazy. Even snacks. You have to pay for any drink that you get. Sorry, just bad airline. Like, I have nothing good to say about that. But I bought $5 little earbuds, and they had bjork on the plane. They had all of her albums. Well, they had a couple of her albums. They had like 3 or 4. So I listened to many hours of bjork, and I also watched Good Time. The Safdie brothers movie made me more stressed out. Every time I've watched that movie, it literally makes me feel like I'm dying, and I don't know why I chose it, but it was better than watching like any of the other movies they had. Like, what was I gonna do? Watch like Super Mario Bros. The movie? No, I'm an adult. So that's what I watched, and that's what I listened to. And that was my entire flight. Just imagine 7.5 hours of bjork, and then you take a break to watch a movie about a guy running from the law, and it makes you scared. And then you go back to listening to more bjork. And then you land, and everybody sounds like bjork. And also, you haven't slept in 24 hours. So anyway, Iceland airport also only has 1 bathroom. I'm complaining. I'm lodging a formal complaint to Iceland. Your fucking airport has one bathroom. Why would it only have one bathroom? Amazing concept. And half of the bathroom was closed for some reason. So I stood in line for like 30 minutes to piss. And like, I have to pee, obviously. But okay, one cool thing. Every stall was its own room. Like, it had its own sink. That was cool. That's one good thing about the Iceland airport is if you go pee, you get your own room. And you can like really freshen up in there. The trip was rough, is what I'm getting at. So I get to Dublin. I'm the first person in my family who's there. The rest of my family has been in the UK already for like 2 weeks. They went to England and Scotland. So I get to our Airbnb in Ireland first, which is toward Dublin city center. It's above a pub, and I'm very tired. But apparently the Airbnb is not ready because it's like noon, and I can't really understand anybody at this point. Also, like, I'm so tired, and everybody has an accent, and they're like, saying things in that accent that if I were to try to do an impression of, you'd be really offended on behalf of the Irish people if you're not Irish yourself. So I'm just not going to do that. But they were talking in ways that confused me. So I was like, what do I do? And he was like, I'm not going to do the accent. Why don't you walk downtown? And I was like, where's that? And he was like, that way. And he pointed, and I was like, awesome, I guess I'll be back in 2 hours. I put my bags in the pub, and then I was like, see you later. And I walked, just completely delirious at this point. So I found myself in an art museum that was apparently like 1.5 miles away or something. Really awesome art museum. I think it was their National Gallery, maybe. But it was really great. It had a lot of historical Irish works from like the 19th century, a little before, after as well. They had some like modern art. They had a Picasso and stuff. It was really cool. I liked it. They were going to have that one painter, Mary something something. She painted women in the 19th century. I literally saw one of her paintings today also because I went to another exhibit at our Portland Art Museum, and she was in the like modern French painters show that they're putting on. Anyway, I could look that up for you, but I'm just too tired to do that. So they had stuff like that. It was really great. Really recommend going to the Irish National Gallery. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called, if you get a chance to. It was huge also. I like didn't get to do the whole thing, and I was there for like an hour and change. This was also the first time that I ordered food in Ireland, because I went down to the little snack kiosk and I was like, I really just want like a yogurt. So I'm like, hey man, can I have a parfait? And he's like pointing at different cakes, and he's like, parfait? Parfait? Is that what you mean? And I'm like, no man, the parfait. And I'm like so tired that I'm like, I can't even really remember the word for yogurt. So I'm like, just the thing right there. And he's like, oh, the yogurt. I was like, fucking thanks, man. So I ate my yogurt and I walked back. Oh, also that museum was free. Just want to shout that out. I think it's really cool that a lot of places in Europe have free art museums. That's like not really something that you see in America a lot. Like, it's like $25 to go to ours. When I lived in Chicago, was going to school there, they did have free student passes at most art museums, but like if you were a regular not student person, you would have to pay like $20-something. So I just think it's cool that that's something that a lot of European countries prioritize, because they also, when I stayed in Manchester, had a lot of free museums. Anyway, that honestly, like, now that I'm thinking on it, might have been a highlight of my trip. I really liked that art museum. I thought it was really cool. Should have gone back to see more, but I didn't. I get back to my Airbnb. I pass away for 3 hours in like a really comfortable bed. Tried to shower. Oh my god. The showers in Dublin. Lodging another complaint. I don't understand that. They have like heaters inside the shower, and you can like turn it to make it hotter or colder, I guess, which seems like it makes sense on paper, and then you turn another knob to actually turn on like the water pressure. All of this tracks to me, but the way that it actually works does not make any sense to me. Genuinely cannot figure it out. So I took a cold shower after already being really tired, and then I went and I did yoga in the front room because I needed to stretch my fucking legs. And it was a really weirdly peaceful evening alone in that little house in Dublin above a pub. I don't know. I look back on that really fondly, even the cold shower, to be honest with you. I was reading a lot during those couple hours after I was done sleeping, because my family didn't actually get there till like 8, I think. But yeah, I read just like some book reviews while we're here. I read Down the Drain by Julia Fox, which is behind me if you're on YouTube, and Winter in Sokcho. That's also behind me. It's the pink spine. Down the Drain, I thought was fun. I like a good memoir that's got, some goss. I like a gossipy memoir. I think I did technically like Winter in Sokcho, but it was it was a quiet read. Very, opaque, if that makes sense. It throws a lot out at you, and it doesn't really lead you down any particular path, without spoiling too much. I think if I maybe read, is it Marguerite Duras? I don't know. I'm bad with French. The author of Winter in Sokcho, whose name is Elisa shua dusapin, also French. I might understand it a little bit more because I believe that that's the vibe she was going for, is sort of a Duras sort of thing. Yeah, but I liked both books. Down the Drain's a really fun vacation read if you are doing any of that this summer. I also started reading it while we were camping in the week before. Great beach read. And then Winter in Sokcho just has kind of a relaxed vibe, really melancholy, you're walking through a fishing village and there's a mysterious cartoonist and you work at an inn. It's just it's very, I guess it probably falls in that cozy read category that's so popular right now, but it's higher brow than, the average cozy read where people work at bookstores and make out in the back or whatever. So we're staying above that pub in Dublin. Kind of a tongue twister. That easily was my favorite stay of the entire trip, personally. The food in the pub was pretty good. They made a crazy martini, porn star martini, which is apparently something they do a lot in Ireland. I wasn't really into cocktails last time I went to Europe, so I don't know if that's just a European thing. My boyfriend is a bartender. I asked him about porn star martinis. He says a lot of British people come in and ask for it. So I guess it must be a British-Irish thing. Porn star martini is a passion fruit. It's a passion fruit martini, basically. It's very good. So I would order more of that when I got home. But they made a really good porn star martini at the pub that we stayed above, which was called Bath Pub. I'm not staying there anymore, I can tell you. It was called Bath Pub. It was also really close, walking distance to all of downtown, obviously, because I was able to walk to the museum, to do a lot of shopping and different pubs and stuff from just that one stay, which I appreciated. There were a couple grocery stores around. It was just really convenient. That's what I like. I live downtown in my personal city. I like convenience. The shower thing, that's really my only complaint about that entire B&B, was that the showers are always cold. I just couldn't figure it out. And there was apparently a switch, a literal switch in the kitchen that supposedly turned on the hot water. But even when I turned it on, it only seemed to make the shower colder. I don't know if their water heater was fucked up or if it was a me problem. I didn't like it. Oh, there was a cute health food store down the alleyway from it where I got some of the best granola I've ever had. Actually, it wasn't the health food store. Oh my god, it was the Tesco. I can't speak. Tesco granola is very good. It's got blackcurrant and raspberry and other little fruity things, and they're so good. So good. And it's a honey-based granola. So tasty. Exception to how good that was being that the yogurt in Ireland is very comparable to the US. It's kind of that watery texture. France still reigns supreme in terms of yogurt, where it's that thick, creamy yogurt wherever you go. When I stayed in Cannes, when I was 21 years old, I ate orange yogurt every day, and I love a thick yogurt. There's a lot of yogurt talk in this episode, actually, I'm noticing. I love yogurt. Highlights of Dublin, while we're in this portion of the episode, besides the National Gallery of Ireland. That is what it's called, by the way. I looked it up. I saw the Book of Kells at Trinity College. It was cool. I totally understand why it's important. I do wish they let you see more of it, but I also understand. Here's the thing. I would like to see more of it, but also you can't keep touching the book. You can't let people touch the book. And if you were a guy wearing gloves showing people the book all day, it would damage the book. So I understand, but also the page that they have it open to doesn't really have any of the gorgeous art on it that like the book is known for. So it's like, why even have the book open then? That's my question to you. But otherwise, that exhibit was very cool. And like going and seeing the old library at Trinity College is it's like genuinely sick. Like I love a library. How about that? I love a library. I love seeing very old books. I love seeing old things in general, and Ireland's really good for that. I also enjoyed shopping in Dublin, just generally. I bought, like I said, a lot of books. Bought Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man by James Joyce, because I felt like I needed to buy an Irish author. I personally have never I've never read James Joyce. Like, it just feels self-explanatory that if you go to Ireland, you should buy a James Joyce novel, you know? And I wanted, like, if I'm gonna get into that, it might as well be something that I bought in Dublin. I also thought that Ulysses is too long. And I've heard a lot of mixed things from people that I know who've read Finnegan's Wake. Some people really like it, some people really don't. So I thought Portrait of the Artist would be like a good starting point. And then if I like it, I can move on to some of his longer works. You know what I mean? That's my reasoning. I'll talk about books later, actually. Other things I bought a collection of byredo samples. So byredo is a really good perfume company, perfumery. I really like one of their scents called Mixed Emotions. It's got kind of like this... It's got like a berry tinge to it, but like under that it's sort of like dusty and like almost like sickly sweet, but like not in a way that's gross. And it's meant to evoke, the uncertainty of our times or whatever. It's a very conceptual perfume brand. So I bought a collection of those and also got a couple like little mini bottles of Mixed Emotions and some other ones. Was very excited about that. I love stuff like that. I love perfume. I also topped up on some Glossier while I was there because I didn't think to bring a lip balm, so they've like reformulated their balm.com, so I got the strawberry one. Tasty. Also, the new formulation does rock. It's like a new old formulation, I think. It's what balm.com used to be like before I ever started buying it. It was like the first couple years that Glossier was a company. Recommend that. I also got some lip oil from Rare, Selena Gomez's beauty brand. I actually really liked that. It's not like a good dupe for Dior or anything, but it's good. It's a little thicker, lasts decently long. I liked the color that I got. It was like a berry, pinky purple color. Genuinely surprised by that. I thought it was really good. I do still need to try Hailey Bieber's Rhode brand, and then we can see out of the two women that Justin Bieber has loved in his life, which one is better. But points to Selena at this point in time. It was really weird on and off humid weather. Like it would be super cold and then it would be hot in the same day. Like you'd wake up and it would be like 50 degrees and raining, and then 3 hours later it would be like 70 and hot and like sticky. So bought some tank tops. Just didn't really think to bring them. I thought it was going to be cold the whole time, but it wasn't. Those are the only things I really bought. But I feel like I did some good shopping. I feel it was good shopping and it was stuff that I'm going to use, I also really loved in Dublin St. Patrick's Cathedral and St. Stephen's Green. Those were both great. I love a church. I love being inside of a church, which is interesting because I did not grow up religious. I do not believe in God. I do not have much good things to say about the concept of religion, but I also respect religion, and like I respect the concept of sanctity, you know what I mean? And I respect history, and I like a church for those reasons. So there you go. Also, they're Catholic churches, so they look awesome. And St. Stephen's Green is a nice park. I just thought it was a sweet park. A lot of seagulls around it. For bars, I thought my favorite was Vintage Cocktail Club. It's like a fake speakeasy situation. Like you had to like have a code to get in at the door, and like it's a whole silly thing, but I kind of liked it. It had a very like detailed cocktail menu. Vintage Cocktail Club being the theme of like, here are different cocktails throughout the history of cocktails, and like they had every page was like dedicated to a different era in the like development of cocktails. That's a fun theme. I like it. It was like nice and dark in there. It kind of reminded me of if you've ever been to New York and did Sleep No More. It reminded me of the speakeasy at the beginning of Sleep No More. That was the vibe. It was great. Very tasty drink. I had one of the craziest fucking cocktails I've ever had in my life there, actually. It was like a chili vodka base, like martini situation, and then around the rim was like gingerbread, I think. Yeah, gingerbread crumbs, because it was a gingerbread liqueur with the vodka, and also like raspberry and blackcurrant. It was so tasty. Like, it doesn't sound like it should work, but it worked. Also, they put blackcurrant in fucking everything in Ireland. Just a heads up. I liked it overall. I will say I feel like Dublin had the most confusing weather. Of the weather that I mentioned, like, it did stay in the general, like, 60 to 70 degree range, but it would be, like, the humidity just varied a lot, you know? And, like, suddenly it would feel very hot, even if it was, like, the same temperature, technically, as it was an hour ago. It's, in that way, I guess it kind of reminded me of Hawaii, or, like, a tropical place, which somebody did tell us while we were on the trip. I don't know if they were fucking with me or not. I haven't fact-checked this. But I guess, you know, when Pangea happened, when that was a thing, Ireland was connected to what is now the Caribbean. So I guess it is, like, technically in some ways tropical, but it is also in, like, the northern hemisphere. So it's like, why is it so humid? Why are ferns growing here? You know what I mean? It's confusing to me. But yeah, I actually got sunburned on my last day. So, and I don't really get sunburned at home generally, like, not unless I'm camping, not unless I've really been outside. I just thought that was weird. Very unusual. Anyway, yeah, the books I bought, just because I love to talk about books on this podcast. I always have books behind me in this podcast, so you can see what I've been reading and I've been enjoying, and I want to talk about it. So, yeah, I bought the James Joyce novel. Every time I say James Joyce novel, I think about that one Fontaine's DC song where he's like, James Joyce novel. What is that song? Anyway, it reminds me of a Fontaine's DC song. Also Irish, as it would turn out. Yeah, so I bought that. I bought Winter and Sokcho while I was there. Really liked the cover, and it got talked up by Carly Thorne, who is on YouTube. I really like her. She does, like, Tumblr throwback explanation videos and a lot of, like, book reviews and stuff. So I feel like I trust her taste at this point, so I got it. And it was super short. I wanted something short for the trip, so there you go. I did finish it on the trip. Really liked it. I also bought I Love Dick. That's been on my list for a long time, so I just kind of got it on a whim. Every book at the bookstore that I bought it at was under €10, so I was like, okay, I'll just buy it. Like, it's fine. It's got a cute cover. I also bought Ordinary Human Feelings. It's a contemporary Irish, like, contemporary lit book. I wanted to get, like, a newer Irish novel that, like, isn't Sally Rooney, because I've read all of her books. It just seemed like an interesting choice. It's, like, it's not a true crime, but it's, like, crime-ish, sort of, like, you know, human morality stuff. Blind buy. We'll see how I feel about it. And then the last one I got was Bad Behavior by Mary Gateskill. It's like a short story collection, pretty highly regarded. I've been meaning to read it, so I got it. And I really liked the cover because it's a Penguin Classics. They make their books look really nice. I think I'm really gonna like Bad Behavior, though. It's like one of those, I live in a city, and I'm brooding all the time because I'm a sad woman. And I love reading things like that. So I think Bad Behavior is going to be really good for me. One note on books, just while we're here, also. This is like a scattered episode, but I really don't give a fuck. It seems like the two books of the summer right now, by my estimations, are Blue Sisters by Coco Malors and Funny Story by Emily Henry. And I just am not feeling those picks. Does anybody else, like, get what I mean by that? Like, I feel like we need, like, a spicier book. It's Brat Girl Summer. Those don't have the vibe. So, context on why I don't really care for these. I bought Coco Malor's last book, Cleopatra and Frankenstein. A lot of people that I like were like, oh my god, it's so good. Like, this is a really great romance novel for people that don't like romances. Oh my god. Like, I really didn't like it. I think I got like 3 chapters in and I was really not feeling the dialogue. I wasn't feeling her writing style. It was very, like, millennial speak coded, in a, like, cringe talk, you know, like the way that they're always like, I just did a thing, like that kind of bullshit, but like in a way that I didn't find very self-aware. Like, I think that's just how she thinks people talk, and I didn't like it, so I stopped reading it. Did not finish. And then Emily Henry, I'll confess I haven't really read, so I'm not really a romance novel girl. That's not something that I gravitate toward, so I don't know. Should I? Put it in the comments. Should I? It's another one that people that I like do say is, like, generally pretty good, that they like her books, like, they're smart for what they are, blah, blah, blah. I'm skeptical. Anything that's that popular, I get a little bit skeptical of, because you just don't know. And, like, there's books that are really popular that I like. You know, Secret History is good. What's another popular novel that I respect? Probably many. Maybe I'm being snobby. Can I be snobby? Sometimes that's how I feel. I think I'm gonna make Bad Behavior by Mary Gateskill, my Brat Girl summer book. Anyway, last one in Dublin while we're here. The food was really great in most places, but I feel like I didn't get a very authentic feel for the city outside of the food. Like, my family took me to a lot of pubs, but I felt like they were the tourist spot pubs, you know? And I found the food to be generally really overpriced, which also tells me it was probably a tourist spot, and there were a lot of Americans around everywhere we went. And especially, oh my god, the drinks were really overpriced. Like, because I'm a cocktail girl. Well, the beer was overpriced too, but like a cocktail is gonna be like 15 or 16 euro, which like to American dollars is like $17. That's insane. For a city that only has like 500,000 something people in it, that's fucked. Like, that's too much money. The average cocktail in Portland is like $12, and if you go to like a really fancy bar, it might be 15 or 16. Too much money. Sorry. I do also wish that I personally had done more research before going to Ireland and Dublin, just in general, and not just like gone with the flow of what the people I was there with wanted to do. Not that they had like bad choices or anything, but I feel like I missed out on stuff that I personally like would have wanted to do and check off my personal list. First of all, I think I would have had more fun going to clubs than pubs. Like, acknowledging that a pub is part of the Dublin experience, right? I like to dance to pop or electronic music if I'm going out, and pubs just don't have that. I would have liked to try food outside of, like, you know, fish and chips and stew and what else? Like a chicken sandwich or chicken sando, as they like to say. I did get a really amazing curry at another pub in a really small town we stayed in. It was wild. It was a really good curry. And a great pasta in another small village. The smaller villages were killing it in terms of different food, but so there was a lot of great food in Ireland, and a lot of it didn't fit like the Irish stereotype of like meat and potatoes, you know? I feel like I would have found even better options if I'd actually looked. And unfortunately, I was stupid and I didn't think to look. So honestly, okay, we can just get into that. I feel like I hadn't done any research at all before going, and I do genuinely regret that. Like, I knew, because my aunt had most of the stuff planned. Like, she sent me like a big Google Doc of stuff she wanted to do. She had like a Google Earth like pin map of all the things she wanted to do. So it's like, I feel like there's not gonna be that much room to deviate, you know, like, and that was probably true once I got there, to be frank. Like, there was some wiggle room, but you know, we had like days we were driving and like you had to be certain places at certain times. At the end of the day, like, I don't think I would have spent time at Temple Bar if my family hadn't gone. I definitely would have wanted to like go dancing. I just didn't know where to go. I really didn't know where to go. Cause like I looked it up like the day after I got home. Like, I was like, gay clubs in Dublin, clubs to go dancing in Dublin. Where do you find indie pop music in Dublin? And it was like so many options. I didn't know that they existed, and they were like right around where we were staying. So, and for the nightlife I did experience, Temple Bar, I will say, not great. I know it's like a big thing for some reason. The music wasn't really to my personal taste. I thought it was really overcrowded. The crowd itself was like kind of obnoxious. Mostly not Irish people either. Not that that's a bad thing. It's just like, you can tell it's for tourists. This was also the only place that someone tried to hit on me in Ireland was in Temple Bar, and it was like this old ass guy, and he like came up to us, and I could tell he was like gonna try to flirt with me. I was glaring at him. I'm not nice to people when that happens. Fun fact about me. If I don't like your vibe. And I also have a boyfriend, so like what? Anyway, like, I'm not open to it. So I made that clear on my face. He immediately walked up to me and then didn't say anything and immediately turned away. Sorry to that guy, I guess. I scared you off with my rancid vibe. But you shouldn't have done that. We're at a bar, actually. It doesn't matter. He's allowed to do that. I was not in the mood that night for something like that. I also had a lot of Heinekens that night and every night, it felt like, because I don't really like beer, but a Heineken you can pretend is water. It's like bread water. And like cocktails, like I said, are all very expensive. So like that's just more than I would spend ever. It's not my scene. Pubs are generally not my scene. If even back home, we have one pub we go to sometimes called Horse Brass. Horse Brass is awesome. But it also has so many different cocktails and it's very cheap. It's a chiller vibe. So I guess I learned that about myself. Not a pubber. Once we got out of Dublin, we went to Dublin first, which is, it took us like 3.5 hours to get there. It's all the way on the other side of Ireland, on the the west coast of Ireland. That being said, I thought 3.5 hours to get all the way across the country, very efficient. As an American, I think we can all say That seems quite efficient. I live in Oregon, right? Like, even leaving the state to the east or the south of me takes like 5 hours. Generally, the drives also were like fun, peaceful. You know, we listened to music, we chatted, it was good. Only between driving, we stayed in a town called Waterville, and then we went to a town called Kinsale. In between that drive, I did get a little bit scared because we were driving on cliffs and it was very foggy. I didn't like that. I don't like heights. I don't like fog. I grew up on a hill with a lot of heights and a lot of fog, and I didn't really ever get used to it, because like you're a kid and you start to have nightmares about driving off of cliffs when it's foggy out, and like my mom always panicked when we were driving in the fog. That's not something I enjoy, but I like seeing the countryside on most of the drives. Oh my god, okay, also I will say Irish roads are like thin as fuck. Like it's square footage, but like it's small, and the cars are small, and everybody drives super fast. I feel like there's a reason that roads are wide, you know? And I don't know why the Irish just didn't get the memo, and they're driving on the wrong side too. They should really think about that. So we went to Dublin. That's where the Cliffs of Moher are, and Dublin Cave, both of which were a bit outside, I would say, of my personal comfort zone. I don't like to be too high, and I don't like to be too low. Like, glad I saw them. Making it clear. Very glad I saw both. Thank you, nature, very cool. But the cows at the cliffs were more my speed. Like, if I can hang out with cows for an hour, that's what I want to do. I don't want to look off the side of a cliff. I will say there were certain parts of the trip that just felt like Disneyland to me also. Those two, like the caves and the cliffs, felt like Disneyland to me. And Temple Bar also. Like, Disneyland for Americans in Ireland. For sure. Very touristy. Dublin Cave was easily my favorite of that grouping, though. Our stay in Dublin was awesome. Like, I really liked that area. This actual stay we stayed in, like, the Airbnb was fun. Hello. I'm back. I had to take a short little break because my camera died. I feel like I say this a lot where I'm just like, yeah, I haven't replaced this thing I have in my life for, like, 10 years. Like my laptop. I also haven't replaced my Canon camera in over 10 years, probably. I'm in a different shirt if you're watching on YouTube. My hair probably looks different. Otherwise, I'm the same person. So I'm just gonna keep talking. Anyway, yeah, the Dublin stay was pretty good. It wasn't a real B&B because they didn't give you breakfast, but it was like a kind of a hotel situation. The showers were really good for once. It was a very nice situation after Dublin. Like, the showers worked like normal. It was not, a walled-in shower. It was like, when it rains on you. Sorry, I've been drinking. A rain shower. And then you went outside and there was a big trampoline. I used to do actual gymnastics trampoline when I was in middle school. I love a trampoline. I'm a big fan of a trampoline. I like to jump. So I jumped and I looked. There were cows at the house next door, and there were little horsies behind our stay. And it was really nice to look at all the animals. And one of the horses was a baby. From there we drove to Waterville, which is kind of less, I wouldn't even really call it a town. It's like an access point to the Atlantic Ocean on the southwest side of Ireland, but like, it's barely a town. There's homes there, and there are buildings, and the beach isn't even really a beach. It's mostly rocks. That also was a stay in an actual B&B this time. That was definitely also the owner's house. They were there, living there. Really cute. Breakfast was good. There was almost nothing to walk to besides the beach. I do think one of my cousins walked like behind the house and found like a park or something. There really wasn't that much there. Also, walking to town would have been unrealistic because it was kind of like America, where if you were to try to walk to town, you're unfortunately stuck walking on the highway, and nobody wants to do that because you might get hit by a car, especially in Ireland where everybody's driving 80 miles an hour. But yeah, seeing the ocean was nice. That was a plus. My posture's really bad right now. I hate when you've been drinking and suddenly your posture becomes so bad. My posture's really not good in the first place. It's actually an insecurity of mine. My friend Rachel sent me a TikTok the other day that was like, two girls talking, and they're like, it's so hard being a hot woman, and then you see their posture, and their posture's like hunched. Anyway, that's very much like me and Rachel. Sometimes you just have really bad posture. I don't know. My back always hurts. have really long legs and a really short torso, and I feel like it's like done a number on like the way my body functions. Anyway, Waterville. I had really good fish and chips there. That was a note that I took, was that I had really good fish and chips there, and that's true. Also, the drive to Waterville from Dublin was probably the nicest. There's a really good view of the ocean, but it wasn't scary because there wasn't fog. That was like one of the few like clear days we got. It was beautiful, and we passed through a lot of smaller towns on that drive. I don't know. It was a nice drive. I like it. It was fun. Day after was the treacherous driving day that I did not like. Waterville to Kinsale. Kinsale itself, I will say, was probably the cutest of the smaller places we stayed, like outside of Dublin. Hotel was amazing. If I remember the name of it, I will put it in the YouTube on the screen. It was like this huge, like beautiful old pink building with like a creaky but like well-maintained staircase, like a huge staircase, and big like bay windows that showed out to like the bay, because Kinsale has like a huge, it's a seaport town. The staff was really nice, really friendly. The breakfast was also really amazing. It felt really like classic European, like 4-star luxury shit. It was crazy. Really plush bed, easily the best shower of the bunch, and that's like even over Dublin. Like, so nice. Just like a nice glass and marble shower and a marble bathroom instead of just like a shitty room that they're putting you. Like, it was really, really nice. I love that place. Even like you looked out from your bedroom window and there's like a rooftop garden with like statues and a fountain. I will say the food in the rest of the town was probably my least favorite. Mostly like, you know, touristy, like garbage pub food. I did have some really good chicken wings with like a kimchi and maple glaze on them at a place called the White House, which I remember because my cousin works in politics, and everybody's like, we're taking Brayden to the White House, as a joke. But also the breakfast at the hotel was very good. I had really good pancakes there. And one thing that is kind of surprising to me is that I had really normal, like American style pancakes the 2 times that I had them in Ireland. Whereas if you order pancakes in the UK, they come out like crepes. So what got lost in translation between the 2 places? Kinsale overall, I did think was really cute. The buildings are really colorful. I do totally understand why it's like a tourist destination. Did have a weird allergic reaction while I was there to a burger, of all things. But otherwise, it's great. Our last like full not driving to the airport day, we drove to Kilkenny from Kinsale, which has Kilkenny Castle. That was the only castle I personally got to visit. My aunt and uncle did one more in Dublin, but I was tired, so I didn't go. But yeah, Kilkenny Castle is definitely a highlight. It's like, it's one of those things where it's hard to believe when you're in it that you're standing in a place that's that old. You know, like you can look at it and you're like, yeah, this is definitely something that's happening to me right now. But you just don't really process it in any real way, especially because everything's been renovated, so it's like, oh, this is just like a museum, but it's not. Like, someone used to live there. Like, the bedrooms were like deluxe. It was like Downton Abbey shit, you know. It is, I will say, also cool to know that nobody owns it anymore and nobody lives in it. I feel like that's deeply unnecessary. Kilkenny as a town also had, I would say, some of the worst and best food. There was a pub, I'm forgetting the name of it now. It was named after a woman who was persecuted for being a witch in like the 1600s. It's like a very old, like actually medieval building. Had terrible food. Food came out in 5 minutes. Ordered fish and chips and it was breaded, not battered, which is unreal. Like, sorry, not to be picky, but like, fish and chips is not breaded, right? We can agree it's not breaded. We also got Indian food in Kilkenny at like the end of our day after we went and saw the church that was there. Oh my god, the Indian food was like maybe some of the best Indian food I've ever had. Like, I ordered just like a butter chicken. I'm a simple girl, but my sauce, it was so thick and coconutty, and it just tasted really nice, and I keep thinking about it. It was a really sexy meal. I liked the church. The church had a huge watchtower in Kilkenny. It was a smaller church, but I liked it. It had a good vibe. Walking through Kilkenny in general is also just kind of a joy. It's a much smaller town, but it's set up in a very walkable way. It felt kind of suburban, I guess. Just a lot of stuff to stop and see, like around the castle. It was nice. The river ran through it. That's the name of a movie. got a soft serve ice cream, and we walked back to the park that was near the castle, and I ate my soft serve in the park. Oh, delightful afternoon. Another highlight, frankly, was that soft serve. It was huge. Unfortunately, I will say I think the stay in Kilkenny was probably the worst one that we stayed in. It was like just a regular B&B in a regular building. There were a lot of flies in our room for some reason. Breakfast was fine, bathroom was fine, just the actual, like, the room was not. I wasn't that impressed by that. Final day before our flights, we drove back to Dublin, and here's where my headphones debacle comes back in that I mentioned earlier. So I had actually left my headphones, my AirPod Max headphones, the over-ear pink ones that are so cute that so many people have nowadays. I left them at the first Airbnb because they weren't really charging, and I was trying to charge them the best I could, like in the one plug-in like behind my bed, and I guess I just left them there. I was being stupid. It's my fault. Free Now, which is like their version of Uber. It's like better Uber, I guess. Like, it's a situation where like you get an Uber and he's gonna drive really fast and like maybe kill you, and you get a Free Now and he's like, "Hello, miss. What kind of water would you like?" I'm so tipsy. I'm so sorry, but I need to get this episode done. I free-nowed back to the pub that we stayed at. We were staying at an airport hotel. I drop off all my shit. I go, like, just myself. And I want to get, like, souvenirs for my parents and, like, one more thing for Lucas, my boyfriend. And, like, I was just going to make, like, a whole afternoon of it. You know what I mean? So I get my headphones back. The guy's really nice about it. It's all good. I walk back into town. I get my parents some souvenirs. I buy Lucas a pack of cigarettes that have cancer on them because it's funny. I get another ride back to the hotel. And we have dinner. It's fine. Like, I have the headphones plugged in again in our new hotel room, and I'm like, these are totally gonna charge this time. And they don't. I come back upstairs, and my headphones, like, the light's on, but, like, they won't connect to my phone. I can't get them to do anything. Like, I put them on, and they're, like, locked to noise canceling. They literally won't do anything. Super weird situation. So, I'm not happy at this point, because, like, I don't know if you know how much AirPod Maxes cost, but they're not cheap. They're like $500 not cheap. So I'm a little pissed. I've had these headphones for 2 years, which is, in the life of headphones, like, I guess pretty good, but, like, for a $500 item is pretty bad. I get on the phone with AppleCare, because I'm like, hey, like, I did buy, the AppleCare thing, but I guess it expires after 2 years, so, like, they were out of warranty, like, somewhat recently. Everybody I got, like, 2 different people on the phone, like, just to confirm, and they were both like, damn, that's crazy. I think your headphones are dead. So, I just don't have headphones. My headphones bricked, and I'm fucked, basically, out of a $500 purchase that I made 2 years ago. So that really felt great, as you can imagine. So I get to the airport the next day, and in my mind, I'm like, okay. And, like, so here's the thing, is if you're someone who's not me, this is a perturbing situation, but it's not, like, the worst thing that could ever possibly happen to you. But if you're me, and you already have, like, a baseline anxiety about flying, and, like, you're addicted to music and watching TV, this is the fucking end of the world. This is the worst thing that could ever possibly happen to you, and if you don't have headphones, you're gonna, like, kill yourself on this flight. So that's where we're at. I get to the airport. Iceland Air, I'm already separated from my family this way, by the way. They're on a different airline than I am. I'm alone in the Iceland Air bag check, which has dozens of people in it. Like, 60 maybe, and one guy checking bags. So I'm in line for an hour and 30 minutes. Mind you, I have 3 hours from when I arrive to get to my flight. This is scary because I still have to do security after that, and potentially, which I was wrong about, but it depends on, like, your airline, if I was gonna do customs or not, like, I didn't know. So I'm freaked out about, like, missing my flight in the first place. I end up Googling it later, and everybody on Reddit is like, oh yeah, you need to show up to Dublin Airport, like, 4 or 5 hours early, because, like, they're gonna fuck you on bag check, and, like, customs takes forever, and blah, blah, blah. Amazing. Wish I'd read anything about that. Common theme here. I eventually get to my gate. Like, security took like 30 minutes or so. Once again, stupid, they had to dump out my water bottles. I had a bunch of water bottles in my tote bag. I had 3 water bottles in my tote bag because I'm a fucking idiot. So they tested the water. Also, that's crazy. They tested the water and then they gave me my water back. That's not something they would ever do for you in America. TSA is fake. So I just get through security. Apparently I don't have to do customs in Dublin. My family did. I don't know what the reasoning for that is, but I did customs when I got home. I was not happy because I got to my gate with 20 minutes to go. So I pretty much just had to get on my flight, but I had just enough crazy person time to go and get like wired earbuds for my phone. And I have, like I said, I have a newer iPhone, so it has to have like that little like funny lightning jack, which luckily they have at the store literally across from my gate. So I couldn't go to Irish Best Buy, whatever it's called, but I could go to the grocery store and get wired earbuds. And honestly, this is the lesson of the night. Not a bad purchase. They still sound good. Like, they look way cuter than Bluetooth earbuds or headphones, to be honest with you. I do like the look of, like, that Y2K wired earbud look. I didn't think the sound quality was that bad. I could still hear everything around me. Sometimes noise cancellation, if anything, like, kind of annoys me, especially the Apple stuff where it's, like, really hard to turn off for some reason. I mean, I lived without noise cancellation on flights for 24 years of my life, so, like, not a big deal. So this flight was shaping up to be better, at least, the night before as a precaution. Because I was like, I don't know if it's going to have Wi-Fi. I don't know if the Wi-Fi is even going to let me stream anything. I downloaded the last couple episodes of Bridgerton, which I thought was not very good. I thought it was mostly a boring season. I'm not a big Bridgerton head, but I will watch it. Like, I'm a fan of a Regency era thing. Like, I love Pride and Prejudice 2005. I love Marie Antoinette is one of my favorite movies, which is not the Regency era, but it does take place in a big house with big dresses. Love stuff like that. I think Bridgerton is mid. It's fine. And this season was not very good. So sorry. But I did watch it on the plane. I also downloaded 2 episodes of Gilmore Girls, which I finished very quickly. And some episodes of The Queer Ultimatum, because I was kind of feeling like trash TV, but then that turned out to be like too trashy. So I didn't want to watch what I downloaded. Went through all that way too fast on both of my flights, plus my like hour-long layover in Iceland. I had like 4 hours left by the time I got through everything that I was going to realistically watch. I got really restless and bored because I was so tired and I really just wanted to be home. It felt like I was getting waterboarded, basically. I listened to a lot of Brat. I listened to a lot of Charlie because I downloaded Brat. That was also the only album I downloaded because I was being stupid. So many lessons learned. Next time I go on an international flight, I'm downloading the entirety of Netflix, I guess. Or a better streaming service, even. So that was my trip. I came home. I was reunited with my dog and my boyfriend, and my mom picked me up, and she got me McDonald's, and it was just all great. I feel like my main collection of thoughts about the trip are sort of complicated, but that's like not the fault of the trip. It's my own fault, you know? Like, it was a very like go on the move kind of trip, and I think that my exhaustion contributed to me like not venturing out more and being curious about what was going on in the place that I was. So I guess I just wish that I'd tried a bit harder to overcome my own sleepiness and my go with the flow energy, and had forced myself out there just a wee bit more, maybe. On the flip side, I did feel like Dublin was like weirdly comparable to Portland in a lot of ways, and it actually made me appreciate living in Portland a little bit more. I know that's like a weird positive to take away from a trip, but I feel like if Dublin is considered a world-class city, and Dublin felt comparable to Portland to me, plus I think Portland has many aspects that are actually better, that must make Portland pretty good. Like, I do think our bar scene is a little bit more varied, a little more diverse from what I saw of Dublin, although obviously that's like the biased pub zone stuff that I saw, so maybe Dublin's better, Just saying what I saw. The food in Portland also, I think, genuinely deserves its reputation. We are a food city. The people are really nice. Not that they aren't in Dublin, but I do think they're really nice in Portland too. It's a really beautiful city with many parks and lots to do. You know, just like Dublin. They're really not that different. They do also have being big beer cities in common, which is, you know, not really my thing. But at least the cocktails in Portland are cheaper. Although I will say Dublin, like, really did not have a homeless issue like we do. They win on that, fortunately for them. Yeah, when I looked it up, it said the per capita, like, percentage of homeless folks in Dublin is actually higher than in Portland. But I just don't know how that's possibly true, considering what I saw. I guess they must just be, like, delegated to different zones. Like, I did see homeless people in Dublin, but it wasn't like I see in Portland every day. That, or, like, the stereotype is true and the homeless people in Portland really are just, like, that much of a different breed, I guess I will say in a polite way. Speaking of, I got pepper sprayed by a homeless guy last week. I, like, got off the plane and I got pepper sprayed. That's not true. I got off the plane and then multiple days went by. A week and 2 days went by. And it was the 4th of July, and I went clubbing at Holocene for a bisexual/gay ladies night, and for Chapel Roan's music. I was walking around the corner with my friend Rachel. Hi, Rachel, I know you listen to the pod. I'm telling the story about the time we got pepper sprayed. We were just walking down the street. We just bought some waters. We were chatting it up, as we like to do. And there were two homeless guys yelling at each other. One guy in the middle of the street and one guy on the our side of, you know, what's the sidewalk? I'm so tipsy, I'm sorry. He was on our side of the sidewalk and they were yelling at each other, and I think one of them must have used pepper spray right before we walked in, because we just walked pretty much through the altercation and we were like, damn, that's crazy. And then suddenly everything burned so badly, and I got in the car and I was like, I don't know how to start my car anymore. I'm in so much pain. And I'm like coughing and my lips sting and my mouth, the inside of it stings, and my nose feels like I snorted It's so bad. It's like, don't get pepper sprayed. Don't ever get pepper sprayed. I didn't like it. My mouth, my lips still have moments where they feel like they have pepper on them. And it's been 4 days. So that's something that can happen to you in Portland. I don't think that would happen to you in Dublin unless you were really looking for it. Sometimes things like that just happen to you in Portland, whether you want it or not. But you know what? I love that about us. Anyway, I feel like it was a good trip for me to learn more about, like, how also, like, I like to experience travel, like I was saying about the plane, but also just, like, in general, like, what I want to get out of a travel experience. And maybe even, like, life in general. I don't know. Like, it's fun for me to pretend that I live somewhere else if I'm going somewhere. Like, which I think is why I liked the first stay in Dublin so much, because it was just a house in the middle of a city with stuff around it that was very casual. Like, I could be like, I'm pretending to go to the grocery store, and I would walk to the grocery store, and it was really great. And it was just a house that, like, anybody could have lived in, including me. You know, it was nice, like, getting there and napping and, like, doing yoga in the front room and reading a book and, like, staring out the sliding glass doors in the back at the, like, slab of a backyard like I would do as a teenager. I don't know. Like, it was really nice. And it being walking distance from everything, it just really made me feel like I lived there. Like, it reminded me of when I stayed in Paris when I was 20, and I would just walk around the neighborhoods that we were near, and I would find, like, video stores and parks and stuff that, like, weren't really on any, like, tourist map. Like, I just would stumble into stuff. There's something, I think, really important about experiencing things that nobody else really has, and, like, cultivating your own narrative about it. Except that's the thing, like, other people have experienced it, but, like, they're people that you probably aren't ever going to talk to because it's, like, their life, and your life is so separate from theirs, but in those moments, your life and their life are the same. I don't know. There's something, like, profound about that to me, I guess, for lack of a better word. Like, someone who is born thousands of miles away from you, and vice versa, could walk the same streets as you and just go about their day, and you can be going about your day in the same spot for, like, once in your lives. And I think that's sweet. I think that's very valuable. More valuable to me than like hitting a bunch of like must-sees on like, you know, a tourist website. So I think if I'm traveling again anytime soon, I want to try to bring that energy to it. I guess trying to replicate someone else's living experience that is not my own, if that makes any sense. Which, like, isn't to say that I didn't like, you know, the must-sees. Like I said, like, I love going to churches. I like being pulled along to stuff like the Dublin Caves and different pubs, like stuff that I just wouldn't think to do, because now I can say that I did it, and I know that I experienced it. I got to see, like, a huge stalagmite, whichever one comes from the top in Dublin Cave. You know, even if it wasn't something that I would have been like, yeah, let's go to a cave. Like, I'm really glad I went to the cave. I don't know. There's still a lot of value in those things too. I just think I also like a lot of the quieter moments where I can just take in a city as it is and just kind of live with it. It's also so hot in here right now. We're going through a heat wave and we don't have any AC in the bedroom. And it hit like 100 degrees today, which is really unusual for Portland. And it's still 80 degrees. And it's 11 o'clock p.m. I don't like it. What I was saying, I do think there's a level of privilege to being like, I'm going to walk around this city and experience it just like a local would. Because, like, you won't. Like, you can't ever really know what it's like to be someone who was born and raised in Dublin if you're not actually someone who was born and raised in Dublin. But it is fun to pretend. And I do think it gives you at least somewhat more of an insight into, like, what different people are experiencing every day. It just kind of inspired me to take another trip at some point in the future. I guess to Europe, but it could literally be anywhere. And just hang out in like the same vicinity around where I'm staying the whole time and like really lean into like I'm living here for a bit and I'm having normal days and doing what I would do, you know, at home, just not working, I guess. In my case, it's like walking to a park, going to see a movie, going to a bookstore, like going to the grocery store and making a meal with like whatever people there eat. It's just something I would like to try to do at some point. I really loved the city, well, it's not really a city, but like the town of Versailles when I was in France. I've fantasized about going back to Versailles and having that kind of experience there. Not the castle, it's not a castle, not the big house. The palace, it's called a palace, but the actual town, because it's a little quirky. I don't know, you know. The band Phoenix are from there. It's got a lot of record stores. It's weirdly kind of cool, like French hipstery, whatever. And that sounds really cringe, but I liked it. I liked it as a town, so I like to try that, or like a smaller town in somewhere in Europe, France, Germany. I speak some German. That might make sense. I don't know. It just seems fun to me. It sounds like a good time. So that's the episode. So I can stop rambling and go the fuck to bed. Since I've been back, I've been having a really hard time actually catching up on sleep because it's been so hot. And I obviously am jet lagged. And the two are mixing and literally making me delirious. Like, there's no reason I should be up at 11 p.m. on a work night recording a fucking podcast, but I'm just not tired. Here we are. I'm also back in the office 3 days a week now, including my first day back. Like, I got off the plane and like 12 hours later I was in the office. So that's kind of added to how tough the sleep schedule's been, I think, so I have to start getting up earlier. Oh my god, also my AC in my car died. So I have to take my car to the dealership tomorrow and like get my coolant fixed for like, it's gonna be like $200, and like I'm not gonna have a car to drive for a day because I have to drop it off like later in the day. My life is so hard. I'm so warm, but I can walk to work, so I'm gonna pretend that I'm living in a different country, experiencing someone else's life, and romanticize it for myself or something. I don't know. What else did I do? I don't know. 4th of July, 4 days ago, hung out with my friends in a backyard. They grilled. I had a dog. Rachel and I went clubbing. We got pepper sprayed. Some girls, like, may or may not have had sex behind Rachel, like, on the DJ booth. I went camping the week before, Ireland. I think I might have said that already, but I really enjoyed camping. We went to the coast. It was a little cold, but it was really nice, and I got to, like, hang out on the lake with my friends. It was fun. That's been my summer so far. I do think I'll probably make more episodes more frequently now that my trip is no longer. But for now, this is the episode that I can produce while I'm tired and barely coherent. So I will see you next time, I guess, with a more researched episode about current topics that matter to people.